Welcome all. Welcome to our session on career guidance. We are waiting for the session to be live, and then our moderator, Steve Ogo, will take over the session to welcome you, and then we continue the session. Good evening. We are waiting for the session to be live in Facebook, and then we start the session. So just be patient kidogo, and then tutaanza. Welcome all. Just some few minutes, and then we will be live in FB, and then we'll start. So, Stephen, you can take
Yes.
over.
Okay. Good
You can
evening.
take over.
Okay. Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. So I think you're going to start. I don't know. Is Douglas around? Douglas? Katile? Hello?
Hello, is in.
Uh, okay. Who else? Is Douglas around?
Yes.
Hi, Steven, I'm around.
Oh, nice. Maybe
Yes,
if
I'm.
I could give you one or 2 minutes to say hi.
Okay, fine, thank you. Yes, hi
Okay.
everyone.
Well, hi.
Hi.
Hi. Who else? Who else? A minute. Mhm. Okay. So is the other one around? I'm not sure.
Crystal.
Yeah, the other one
Yes,
is
yes.
around.
I was actually. Oh, but it's okay. Hi.
Hi.
Okay, maybe if you can say hi to to everyone, and then we start.
Hi to all of you. I'm happy to be here today. I can't wait to learn new things.
Wow. Okay. So I think you're going to start. So today will be today in our career and guidance. We are going to discuss about CV writing and cover letter. And I know everyone is also eager to to join in order so that they are able to learn so that they're able to add more skills to to their professional credentials and all that. So I know everyone was eager, and like my friends were asking me like, when is it starting? Because everyone wants to work on his personal and professional development. So maybe from your take, maybe we start with Douglas. So okay, maybe if you can explain or even give uh, a situation on how young people actually want to access more opportunities. And nowadays you've seen how you've seen we have a lot of graduates actually, and whenever they graduate, there's that excitement, but they end up doing a job that is not actually in line with what they have studied in school. So maybe in a nutshell, uh, maybe you could expound more about it, and tell us, because we have a lot of graduates, and like you finish, maybe you did you were not taught how to write a CV and cover letter in campus, and now that you are in the workspace, like you need to have those skills. Maybe Douglas, maybe if you can talk about the soft skills that as graduates or as young people we need to have, so that we are able to access most of these opportunities. Yes, Douglas.
Hello. Now I
Hello.
was saying, thank you so much, Steve. You will kindly allow me to have my video switched off because of the
Okay.
bandwidth, so that you can be able to really get me clearly. But this is what I'd say. I got you clearly. So I know that initially when you're just fresh from the university, most of us tend to think that we actually do not have anything that we can talk about on our resumes. So the issue is usually we believe that, you see, I don't have experience, so what am I going to put on my resume? If I put on my resume information, it cannot even fill a page. Okay, that is not anything you should worry about anymore, because number one, every person has skills. Every person has skills, and the reason why you go to school, actually, it's not necessarily to, you know, have something new, but to just sharpen what you have, as well as build new skills. So when you're a new graduate or a fresh graduate just from the university, you'd possibly want to communicate what you accrued when you are at school in terms of the new skills alongside the things that you are passionate about. So you talk about passion as well as soft skills. In fact, for the entry level jobs, what many employers usually look for is the capacity for an individual to learn and to be mentored and become a person who's best at execution. You get that? So you will tend to realize that actually in the initial period, if you want to write a resume in the right format, you should not be, what do we call it, intimidated. You don't have to get intimidated about, having years of experience. No, you should just communicate your passion. That is one. And then number two, you need to communicate the skills that you have accrued at school alongside the talents you have as an individual, that which you can do as a person. So we can start from there.
Wow, great. Okay. Um, you've just said, actually, the fact is you can hide your education, but you can't hide your skill. So your skill will always outshine your education, and that's why. And as you've just said, everyone has a skill. Everyone has a skill. Everyone has a capacity to do this and this. So maybe if we go back to Crystal, maybe Crystal, what is your thought on what is your thought? Maybe if you can share your sentiment about young people uh end up to do a course that actually is not in line with what they have studied in school. Maybe if you can share your sentiment. Yes.
I think that it boils down to packaging. As Douglas has said, many times you do a course, let's say, or something, but when you come out here, it's not exactly what you want. But how you package yourself, as he said, is everything. When we come out of school, I'm still in school actually. When you come out of school and you don't have much work experience, but it's up to you to package your skills well, because they're the skills that you get from school, they're things that you're good at, and it's just all about packaging. No one should feel like I don't have the experience. Words are everything. My major is, journalism, and I know the power of just being able to package yourself well. And most times it's true, you're just going to learn, for example, and having an open mind to learn. It all comes with, you believe in yourself and you know that if I package myself well, I'll be able to get this job. So it boils down to packaging. You've only been out of school for a month, 2 months, a year. There's not much experience, but how you do your CV and how you present yourself to the employer is what really matters.
Wow, great. So okay. So I don't know. Do Gladys, do you have a presentation so that Douglas?
Yes, Stephen. Yes,
Uh,
I do. I have
oh, you
a
have a.
short presentation, yeah,
Oh,
that
okay,
we can actually use to be up to speed with everyone.
okay, nice. So before we go back to you,
Yes.
I don't know. Um, Katile has. Uh, I think. Now we are now live. Are we live on Facebook?
We are already live.
Oh, you're really Okay, nice. So I think we're good to start. So um so before Douglas do his or before Douglas do his presentation, maybe if we can get any of the participants to maybe share something about, you know, about young people's, maybe um just share anything about passion and a distinction between passion and a job. Maybe if we can get anyone who can maybe share anything, share, maybe give a difference or anything. Anyone, you can just raise your hand and unmute yourself. Okay, we have Diana, you can just okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is
Hello.
Dana Kirote. I'm the Human Resource Manager at Professional Technologies. I'm glad to be here to just hear what the presenters have to say today on CV writing. A good question, passion and a job. Passion is something that drives you, something that you're always excited to do and challenge yourself at. So say for me, passion is something that you can actually do without even pay. And it's something that you're always excited to do and something that you're always like looking forward to challenges that will make you better at what you love. While a job is is a means of living, a means of meeting your expenses, and it just gives you um, it gives you a position in the society. Those are the three things I would distinguish between the passion and job. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Anyone anyone Thank you, Diana. Anyone else? Oh, we okay. Oh, we have Mwenda, you can just unmute yourself and share your sentiment. Yes, Mwenda, you can just click at the unmute button and then you share your inputs.
Okay. Hello, Steve.
Hello.
So I hope I hope you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear.
So my name is Mwenda Isale Wycliffe.
Yes.
So I'm the founder of Imarisha Life Initiative. My sentiments on the same. I think passion is, yeah, as was put, is something that drives you. It's more like your motivating factor, what really makes you wake up in the morning. So I think where we go wrong as young people, for instance, because most of the time we're told money is not, money cannot be a passion, but some people and most youths actually, they are passionate for the money, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. From my line of work, I work with a lot of youth. So I normally tell them like that, if money is your passion, because what happens is most people, they chase the money, and then once they get the money, they realize like, oh, there's more than the money. So you advise, so I normally tell them like, go for the money, and when you get to the money, the point where you get the money, now money now stops being what pumps you, what makes you wake up in the morning. You look, because now you are financially stable, you have a job, but now you want, there's more now that you really want. There are people, so for people who, they their passion is the money, they get jobs. So you see people hopping from jobs to jobs. So for most people, actually, jobs is just a means of generating income. but the passion, the drive, I think for most people, most people don't end up finding their passion, and I think until later in life, which is very sad, because when we are young, we are really pushed and pumped by money. Money excites us, which I said again is not wrong. So that is my take. So I think the money is a passion for some, for most actually. So as you get the money now, you get the financial independence, then you now start looking at life from different lenses. You start viewing life differently. You develop new passions, which I think also is basically just the process, the life process. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mwenda. Okay, reason for thank you. Oh, we have Odhiambo. Odhiambo, you can just click at the unmute button and then you share your inputs.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
thank you.
I wanted to say I kind of agree with Mwendo, but in my understanding, a job and a passion go hand in hand. A passion is what makes you wake up every day in the morning when you don't want to wake up. And a job is how you get things done. So you might be getting things done in line of what you would want to achieve later. And Chris Kirubi yesterday said, if you make money in the process, there is no problem. So passion will make you wake up, it will make you push harder, it will make you rise when you fall. But a job is how you get them done, how you get these things done sequentially. So if you hop from one job to another because you know your end game, and in the process you're making money, then I don't think there's a problem.
Okay, thank you. Maybe if we could have one person and then we go back to the speakers. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, there's something I forgot. Okay, for the participants, maybe if you can go to the chat box and then you just write your name and then maybe the organization that you represent, or the organization, or even the designation, so that it will in order to make us easier to like to know more about you, or even to to for us to know just to know one another. So we have Cynthia. Cynthia, you can just click the unmute button and then you speak. Cynthia, you can just click the unmute button and then you give your inputs. Okay, it's okay. So it's okay. You can just write it at the chat box and then we continue. Also, back to our speaker, Douglas. Maybe if you can just maybe give your sentiment about the distinction between a career and a job, and maybe expound more on how I have friends who started just doing a job and then they end up building that job to be a career. Maybe if you can expound more about it, and then the presentation maybe. Douglas.
Yes, Stephen, I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. So maybe you can you can give your sentiment.
Is not in a job. If you understand what I'm saying. So it is, yes. So a job
crazy,
is in a career, but a career is not in a job. So yeah, the truth is, anything that you do.
Yes. I think we have lost you. Douglas.
Trainings, certifications, you have developed in terms of work experience in that particular line of work, then that becomes your career. But a job is basically any title that you do to get job done in any organization. That is a job. So I believe that is clear enough.
Oh, thank you. Maybe if we can hear from from Chrysol.
A job is, you can have a job anywhere. A job is basically what you're doing to get money. A career is over a long period of time, is all the jobs that you've done, yeah? And they don't have to be in the same field. That's a career. But a passion is, what keeps you going. Some people have the benefit of having jobs that are their passion, but it's not the same for everybody. For some people, yeah, they'll need the job for the financial security, but then through the money that they get from the job, they can start up their passion.
Oh, thank you. Okay, reason for asking that question is, in one or another, I think it might affect how we write our CV. I don't know, because I myself, there's a day that actually I've ever thought to be a musician, to be sincere. So actually that day, I don't know what's wrong with the other side of life, because you see, like, even you see, like, even your CV doesn't even have a meaning. And like, you see, as if like, you can do it without papers, or so maybe if you could touch the other bit of it, Douglas. Oh, Crystal, maybe you can share something about it.
Oh, yeah, there are times that, as you said, let's say you want a particular career. I would say that, especially as young people, we know how employment opportunities can be an issue. So get the job that you are able to get. For example, as you said, let me tell you, you can package you can write 5 different CVs. 5 different applications to something, and they all bring a unique angle to it. It just depends on the job that you're applying for. Let's say you wanted to be a musician, for instance. There are skills that you have that you can be able to pitch yourself to be able to do. But let's say you wanted to be, say, something different. Let's say you studied law in university, but you like music, you can still pitch your law skills and get a job in law. So you should never feel bound by, let's say, what you've studied. There's a way that you can bring them together for your own benefit, both what you love and what you are trained in.
Okay, thank you. So maybe we can go back to our speakers. Maybe if we can start with Douglas. I don't know if Douglas, are you ready? I think we have lost Douglas. Maybe Crystal, do you have a presentation?
Yes, I have a presentation.
Okay, so maybe if Katili can help you share the screen, or is it possible to share the screen the other side from your end?
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Okay,
Let me do that.
great. Okay.
1 minute. Let's see. Has it shared yet?
Yes,
Can see your screen.
Okay,
we
you
can
can
see
see
your
my
screen.
screen, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to try and keep this as short as possible, but for you guys to get the main points. I'm going to be talking about the art of writing a cover letter. Yeah, so I want to attack it in this way. I'm a journalist by training, so I like whenever I approach something, I use this basic principle: what, who, why, where, when, and how, so that we can be able to, cover all sections of this topic. In this case, it's how to write a cover letter. So what is a cover letter? A cover letter is the document that you send with your CV when you're applying for a job or internship. I know a couple of us in the process of job seeking, we've been able to write cover letters, and it's a very underrated document in my opinion, because it can be what makes the recruiter choose your CV or makes them choose somebody else's. So they're also known as letters of motivation, accompanying letters. They have many names. And the purpose of them is to list additional skills and experiences and to show that, you're a good candidate for this opening. So the different types of letters, don't worry about the presentation. I will be able to share it with you guys so that you can refer to it. I think there are a couple of types of cover letters, and the one we're focusing on today is an application cover letter. And this is the one that you send with your CV when you're applying for a job. When you want to apply for a job, let's say you've gotten the email, let's say Safaricom at whatever. So you don't just send your CV in most cases. It's nice to send it with kind of a cover letter to cover your CV, quote unquote, so that it's like to buffer the recruiter to be able to know about you and give them an interest to want to open your CV. The other cover letter is for networking. Let's say you want a particular job and you are told to ask, say, the HR manager at Britam. So you will send a cover letter of that type. And also there's a cold or prospecting cover letter that is used when there are no job openings advertised. And I know many of us do these ones. They've not asked for an opening, but you want to express your desire to work for that company. So you'll just shoot them a cold email. So yeah, who needs to write a cover letter? Anyone actually, especially if you're applying for a full-time job, an internship, even a university attachment. Don't just drop your CV in their email. At least give them kind of something to get a feel of what you are about so that they can decide whether they want to give you the job or not. Freelancing, contract basis jobs, remote jobs, basically any type of jobs. It's a good thing to have. So why do you need one? I feel like it's a pitch to your employer. If someone told you, Steven, give me 30 seconds and tell me about yourself and why I should give you this opportunity, a cover letter is something like that. That is what will draw the recruiter in to want to read your CV and be like, okay, let me see what Marcy is about. Let me see what Walter is about. And also for you to show that you're a good fit for the company, so that, they're like, okay, maybe we can work with this person. They are a good fit for our company, and let's say we are aligned. Let me go on. Sorry for that. Can you guys still see?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, where and when you send your cover letter, usually when you're told to send an email to apply for a job, you can send it as an attachment. Like you say, at let's say, Dear XYZ, I'm writing to apply for the job. Find attached my cover letter and my resume or my CV. But the second one and the one that I prefer more is in the body of the email. Let the email introduce the recruiter to you so that now they're like, okay, I want to see Meshach's CV. So the third other option would be sometimes some recruiters give you a particular way to send your CV, which I feel like you should follow. So let's say they tell you to send your details, send a portfolio to this email. You can now overlook option A and B as an attachment and in the body of an email. If the recruiters give you any other instructions, follow those instructions, because it also shows them that you can follow through with other things. I usually say there's no second chance to make a first impression, especially when it comes to looking for a job. So I feel like if you get things correctly from the get-go, you're more likely to be able to have an opportunity, let's say, to get an interview. So how to write the perfect cover letter? It's pretty simple, by the way. So you'd want to start with the right salutations, get the email address right. There's some small things that you overlook. I think I've sent a CV to the wrong email before because I wasn't being keen. So be keen from the moment that you get the information, copy it down somewhere so that when you're addressing the letter in the email, you're addressing it to the right person, and use the correct terms. If it's sir, madam, if you don't know, put both. And if you know the person you're addressing because you are referred by somebody else, be sure to address that person. Don't write, dear to whom it may concern. That comes off a little bit like you didn't do your research. So, and then on the subject line of the email, you should write exactly go straight to the point. Don't write CV or something like resume. Say application for, let's say, the IT intern vacancy at Google Kenya. Be to the point so that when these people get so many emails so that they know exactly what it is about. And have an engaging introduction. You can imagine how many emails this person has been reading all day and they're probably tired, wanakunywa chai tu hapo, they're like, okay, let's see what this person has to say. Alafu nataka kuabo tena. Imagine you have to get their attention. You have to, because most of these letters are very generic. They come in the same way. I want to express my interest. You need to stand out a little bit. Use something like a short quote, a story about how, let's say, when I was growing up, I used to use Blue Band. You need to be creative because you can imagine how many people are sending through these applications, and make it as personal as possible. Sometimes these letters we send, they feel so cold, like a robot or a machine sent them. You need to have the personal touch on your emails, on any information that you send out, because at the end of the day, when they're remembering the people who sent these applications, yours will stand out, because there was something different about yours. So don't fear to be unique in the way you present your letter, though keep it formal. I've written an example down here. This is how I applied for my current job. So I actually wrote, I've been reading this magazine since I was a young child, and I didn't know what it took to create a magazine until when I did my degree later. I would love to be a part of the process. And of course, it will catch your attention a little bit because it's not the average starting sentence in any email, so find a way, go and research on the company a lot, whether it's their core values, their mission, their vision. You need to do your homework a little bit. And later I'll explain to you why you shouldn't send out one same cover letter to all companies. You need to personalize it. And so if you are referred by somebody, indicate that you are referred, like, yeah, after you've introduced yourself, I was asked to email you by XYZ, so that at least you acknowledge them for giving you that opportunity. Another thing you can do is to mention where you saw the vacancy. For instance, for this job I applied for, I saw the vacancy on social media, and I indicated that I saw your poster on your social media because, I follow you. You see, you need to show them that you're up to date with what's happening. You kind of have an idea of the company, not that you're just going out there without having done your research. I hope we are together, guys. Are we together?
Yes, we are.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So the third one is what you bring to the table. Now this is in the body of your letter. I know you want this job, but they also want to know what you can give them. Many times we go in with this like I is in all the sentences. It's not a bad thing, yeah? But you need to show them what value you're giving to them, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are calling the shots on how to give you this opportunity. So you list your skills that the employers are looking for, and you need to show them how your skills are practical. You can't say like experience in, let's say, let me give a soft skill like conflict resolution. And for advice, use your hard skills first, and then you can go to the second, your softer skills after that. So let's say as a hard skill, like your ability to pitch and write articles. Don't just write your ability to pitch and write articles. Everyone will say that, of course, because that's what they saw on the poster. You need to show how you've done it. Even if you wrote an article for your church, for your youth group, you need to be able to back up that statement you're making with a little bit of evidence. So in my example, the skill in question is, let's say, social media management. And I know they're looking for, even if I'm an intern, they want me to know how to manage social media. So I'll say, when I worked in company X, the social media engagement was not at its best. So I developed a content creation schedule and strategy, and we employed it, and our engagement skyrocketed by 200%. In writing, we say show, don't tell, because there's only so much you can show, but there's only so much you can tell someone. But if you're not giving them like the concrete facts or the examples, it's not going to amount to much. And these skills you have, don't look down on them. Anything you end up doing, even in university, whether it's ISEC, event planning, that's a whole thing you're doing there. Don't think that it's something so small that cannot be, applicable, or that you can't use in a CV. You really, really can do that, because that's logistics, that's so many things. So never think of your skill as just a skill, because I know you've done it in practical. So when you put the theory and the practical together, it makes a good case for when you're pitching yourself to an employer. So the next point is, as I said, express your desire to bring a benefit to the company. So you show how those skills can bring up the company, for example. As I told you, it's a give and take. Show what you can give them, and then they will pick you. So it's like a mutual benefit situation. So as I said, do the research on the company. You can know, like, maybe their website is not doing well. Say, yeah, I'm a web developer, and as I was doing my research, I saw that, let's say, this website can be updated, can be done for this. It also shows that you went over and above your own wants and needs to be able to offer something to the company. So let's say you've researched the mission and the vision of a particular company. I think I saw Safaricom for one of their projects. Their vision or mission was something like transformation and something. So use that. Say, I know that one of your company objectives is, say, efficiency. And I pride myself in being able to execute X and Y duties. Let's say being able to work with a very short turnaround time, and then give an example of how, let's say, one time you were working under pressure, you had a deadline, and you were able to come through and, be able to deliver. So whenever you list a skill, give a practical example of how you employ that skill to give it credibility. The next one is to have a strong ending. Now, when you've come and crafted your letter, remember this letter is not long. It shouldn't exceed 400 words. It can be as short as 250, but by 500, that's a lot of words. Because remember, they have your CV to read, yeah? So pull your points together and make a statement. I believe that with all the skills I have to bring to the table, we can work on something and I can be able to work at your company. Don't just finish regards or kind regards without tying it up at the end, because imagine you've pitched yourself nicely and then inaisha tu hivo. You need to pull it together at the end and to boost your compelling cover letter so that he or she is I want to read that person's CV, I want to hear more about this person. And then tell them that you'll follow up and give them a date. I used to be so embarrassed. I just used to send my CV. Staki kusema I will get back to you because na feel kama unamsumbua. Umsumbui, unataka hiyo kazi. So set a date, even if it's a week after. Indicate that I will follow up with you after X days, after Y days. And be sure to follow up on that day, by the way. Keep your word. So I want to summarize with just a few things to remember. So no typos are allowed. If someone is going through your work and they find a typo, it's like the crime of crimes when it comes to writing. And you can imagine it gives off the impression that you're not serious about it. There's so many apps like Grammarly, even Microsoft Word, Google Docs, they kind of edit your work. So don't take that for granted. I know sometimes you're in a hurry and you want to send, but that typo can be the difference between why you and someone else is taken, yet maybe you have more skills than them. And then personalize your messages. I know we apply for many jobs and many organizations, but don't send the same cover letter to all organizations. I know it will take a while to keep on customizing the cover letter, but it will be worth it. Let's say you're applying. Is there someone who's, oh, okay, thanks. Let's say you're applying to 4 jobs. Let me give you an instance. One at Safaricom, one at Britam, one at Google, and one at, let's say, Nation, yeah? But it's, let's say, for the position of marketing intern. Remember, the responsibilities from the one in Google are not the same as the one on the poster for Safaricom, are not the same as the one on the poster for Britam. So maybe the one in Safaricom requires you to have a knowledge of something, and then you send that same cover letter to the people at Britam and their poster didn't have that. You see how it kind of shows that you just took a generalized route and sent all of them. And I promise you, when you send it in a more personalized way, you're more likely to hear a response rather than when you just say, I'm interested in this position, these are my qualifications, I was in university here. So you need to be very watchful about that, because different positions in different organizations play different roles. So don't assume and send out something similar, yet maybe it's not what they're looking for. And then the most important point for me is don't repeat your CV in your cover letter. Your cover letter is inavutia ndio wasome CV yako, but don't repeat word for word, ad verbatim what's in your CV. Find a way to pick your particular strong points and match them with the keywords on the poster. Also, don't use too many keywords. Like I am, especially the the ones that I used, and I know you guys know them. Analytical, solution oriented. If you use a lot of the same ones, it makes it look generic. Just choose your 3 top strengths. Yeah, maybe you say software development, and maybe you know a couple of coding languages, and then you put a soft skill like, good communication skills. And then now you show how those skills you have match into what they're looking for, but don't copy your CV. Make them want to read your CV. And finally, if you promise to put an attachment, don't forget. So many times you're in a hurry, you're like, find attached my CV, and then you don't attach the CV. So he's read your good letter, but your CV is not there. So double check, make sure to double check these things. And then you see the name that you save your attachment with. Like, let's say Salmin Chacha curriculum vitae. Sometimes you save them like ile CV ya mwisho, and then you don't change that, and then you just save it like that, and then you send it like that. So it looks so funny about that. So be careful about those things. And with that, you should be able to write a very, very good cover letter. This is a sample cover letter that I just picked up from the internet. So yeah, as I said, I prefer when you put it in the body of the email, which means you don't have to put these like address, whatever. But in case you do, you know how to write a formal letter, you'd use that same way. And then, dear Mrs., or you see now in this case, the person knows exactly who the person is. So they address them by their name. And then look at how it started. With so many individuals applying for a position within your organization, how can you decide who is the best candidate? That's not your conventional opening of a CV. Hata mimi kama mi ni mtu wa HR, nitastop niseme, mse anasema nini, It's not just, I'm expressing my interest in XYZ position. So it's a little bit different, and this draws the person in to keep on reading. If you're seeking an individual who merely performs the work assigned without any innovative leadership of their own, then I am not the person to call. This person went even a step further to make the things stand out. And I'm not saying it has to be this dynamic, but don't make it generic. Give it a touch of your personal self, As much as it's a job, and it's a job that anyone could get, you have a personality that is unique to you and nobody else has. So work with that. And then he said, if you seek a capable, creative, team-oriented person with a dynamic outlook on life and a strong desire to succeed, then you should review my CV. He's giving the guy, this is why you should give me XYZ. As you will note, I have solid interpersonal skills with the ability to interface with individuals on all levels. So he's selling himself and his success stories and things he's done before. As you see in the other paragraph, he's given how his experience matches up with, what they are looking for at Acme Office Supplies. And remember, your experience doesn't have to be 15 years like that guy. You've volunteered somewhere, you've helped somewhere, you've done something. It can be small. Labda uli design costumes drama festival. Hiyo ni skill, as in, just look at the job that is being asked for and align your skills. And Douglas, I know when he's teaching you how to write the CV, he'll explain it to you. Packaging is everything. There's no skill that is less of a skill. You just need to know how to write it. So yeah, I am available for a personal interview at your convenience. I know you are busy, so please let me know if you'd like further to discuss your requirements and my ability to meet them. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, yeah. So you have to finish strong, yeah? I know I will make a positive contribution to this company, and I look forward to discussing my capabilities in more detail. That's sort of a follow-up, yeah? Because he's hoping he'll be called for the interview. So if you see the things we've been talking about, you just need to know how to play around with your words and sell yourself. You are a product. Sell yourself, package yourself. I know when you go to the supermarket, kuna sabuni mob, lakini kuna yenye unabuy. Why do you buy it? It's because of the way it's packaged in most cases. So don't be afraid to package yourself as you feel fit to do so. So yeah, remember, you're selling yourself. It's like you're giving yourself a recommendation letter. So usinyenyekee sana. You have skills, you have things you've picked up, so be confident in yourself. And that's the end of my presentation, guys. I know you'll all get jobs and be able to employ these things and just package yourself better. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Crystal, for your amazing presentation. Actually, we have learned a lot, and there's a way that I used to, like to write my cover letter and all that. And now that you've brought me into light, I think my cover letter will be much different. So, I think we have. I think you're supposed to. Anyone with a question to our speaker, you can either raise your hand and unmute yourself, or you can even share your sentiment in the chat section, or you can even comment or share anything. Anyone? Okay, we have Oppo AIK. Okay, I don't know the name. Maybe if we can start with you, you can just unmute yourself and
Hi, my name is Natasha,
yes.
and I've joined a bit late, but I had this question.
Yes.
I've had like different takes on how long a cover letter should be, and most of them usually say like your cover letter can be as short as 4 sentences, because you don't want to give away too much that the recruiter, the employer can read on your CV. So my question is, because according to the example the lady who was presenting earlier used was really long, it was like 4 paragraphs. So my question is, what's the standard for how long a cover letter should be? Thank you.
Let me answer that. As you said, when you read on your own, there's no standard. Imagine, I've seen, as you said, even 4 sentences to sell yourself and make that person want to open your CV. But what I think is at least 200 words, not too long. Also, you know how emails are pretty wide, or how do I say? But just be able to introduce yourself. I think the length matters not, it's the content and the structure. If you've introduced yourself, if you've expressed your interest in the job, if you've been able to share a couple of your skills, and they don't have to be in the exactly word for word in the CV, as I said, and that's one thing I said, don't rehash your CV in your cover letter, because he'll go to your CV and see, and he'll be like, okay. Be able to pick out the unique things about you that are not written in concrete in your CV. So provided you cater to all those things, even if it's in 150 words, do it. You'll need 200 words, do it. But I don't think you should go more than 300, 400. That's quite a lot, because you don't want to overwhelm the person reading, because they have a lot of other things to read. So yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else with a question? Marian, I think I can unmute you. You can ask.
Thank you very much, Crystal. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Marion here.
Hello.
Crystal, I'm very grateful for your presentation. My take away home is that a cover letter is ideally a marketing tool. Like it is what will market me so that the employer can look at my CV. Now, my question is, in regards to maybe the research that I might be doing for a job that I would want, I might also be interested quoting my expected salary. Where do you think that should be placed in the cover letter? That is my question for you. Thank you.
From my experience, though anyone can correct me, usually the salary negotiations come a little bit later. When they put out this poster, it's mostly to get the people who are interested to go to the next stage of interviewing, which I think is when you can be able to shoot your salary shot, yeah? So I don't think you should, I haven't seen it in any cover letter that I've been researching on, and also the ones that I've written. The discussion of salary came at the interview point, though anyone who's had a different experience can correct me. Okay, Joy, can you, let me unmute you. Oh, sorry. Joy, gosh, okay.
Okay.
Help
Oh,
me out, Steve.
okay. We had there was someone who just lowered his hand. Sijui ni nani but it's okay. We can have Violet. Let me
Hi.
unmute you. Hi.
I had an experience. Okay, for one, these sites that you have to apply jobs like Brighter Monday, they request you to input, and it is a must, your expected salary, sindio?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would find it a challenge for the people who haven't worked before. How would you know how to input that? Because if you input too much, then the employer will be put off. Ukiweka kidogo pia, it shows you don't believe in yourself. You're selling yourself short. So I find that challenging. Maybe you can clarify on that. And then I had an experience where we went for an interview. Then we were asked at the end of the interview, we said how much you expect to be paid. And at the end of it, we found out that it was a trick question. Because kila mtu mwenye alitaja a certain amount wasn't picked. The people who didn't say anything, they said the employer to say what they want to pay them, wao walichukuliwa. So that I found that a bit tricky. I don't know whether you say how much you want or you shouldn't. I don't know. I still don't know up to now. I've worked for 2 years and still don't know.
Okay. I think what I was once told by someone was, you see the position that you're applying for, you need to do some market research. Yeah. Let's say I'm applying for the position of like an entry level, maybe HR job or something. Go and research. There are sites like Glassdoor, though it's not easy to find, where there's like an estimated salary rate, because that will now help you be able to have something to pitch when they ask you for a salary, because you don't want to overpitch and you don't want to underpitch. What I was told was to do a lot of asking. ask anyone who would know the average salary for that position so that you can be able to give them a range. And maybe when you're filling in like these Brighter Monday things, you can now choose with a market conscious answer, yeah? Not an answer that, let's say, umejipikia, but you've been able to ask one or two people and you've come up with something. So that's what I know, though Douglas and the other people can always input.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Crystal. And Nyagwe, it was who? Violet or who?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it was.
So Violet, very well you brought up that question. Actually, it is true. Sometimes it's a bait. It's asked, but for not the right purposes. It is used as a sieve, to cut off some of the potential ones. So one thing that I've seen also in the chat box already, number one, you should always let there be room for negotiations. So you can either give a range, that is one, give a range, but Crystal has gone well ahead and said there are sites where you can research. We have Glassdoor, we have even Indeed, they give some salary ranges. Right now with the internet, key in like how much does an associate in this role earns, you'll be great to get an estimate that you can use to work around. So number one, always leave the room for negotiations. Number two, give a range. And then number three, if you have research and their estimates, you can provide either something on top or something slightly below that market average. That is maybe the way to go, but never be afraid of answering that question.
Yeah. Okay. Um. Okay. We have. Before I go to the chat section, we had Joy Kinyua. I don't know if you've been able to ask your question, Joy.
Not yet.
Okay.
Thank you. In the heading part of the cover letter, Crystal, you said that you should be able to state the dates that you're going to follow up. Now, for some companies, they will actually tell you when they'll begin their interview process. You know when they expect you people to begin, especially the companies that will be present at career fairs. So I was wondering, should you state the date that you'll follow up before when the interview begins, or if interviews begin and you have not yet been called, that's when you should follow up? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joy. That's a good question. One thing about job hunting and job searching is there's no one size fits all kind of template for everybody to use. But as you've said, it depends. The important thing is to follow up. It's up to your own discretion, let's say, if let's say they have this and this certain time before they, let's say, call in people, use a discernment of your own. Let's say you give yourself, I will reach out on, you can even say a week's time, 1.5 weeks time, yeah?
Okay.
That also kind of gives you, and that's if you, let's say you don't want to say, I will reply on the 15th of October 2020. You can say a week's time so that in that week, they will be expecting your reach out. And as you said, it doesn't fit all. So for those companies that do that, always be adaptable and be able to adjust. And let's say maybe I'll ask them after 3 weeks. Maybe I'll ask them after that. Just to show that, you're kind of invested in it. And also for your own closure, me, kama nime follow up na umeniambia, not today. At least I'll get my eggs out of that basket and keep on moving. So it's up to your own discretion. It's also up to the kind of companies you apply for. You just need to apply your intuition and discernment.
Okay. Thank you. We have Violet. Do you still have a question, or
Sorry?
do you still have a question? Your hand is
Oh, I didn't. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, Diana, you have just raised your hand. You have a question.
I just wanted to comment on some of the questions that have been raised. So
Yes.
in regards to cover letters, I'm one of the employers, so I have tested these cover letters. And to be honest, one thing that people don't realize is jumping into just sending a cover letter without understanding how the possible employer has sent out the advertisement. So one, when you're looking for a job, you really need to understand what the employer wants. Have they told you to attach a cover letter and then you support it with other documents? Or they've just told you to send a CV and support it with other documents? Or you actually send an email as a cover letter? So those are three different statements that job seekers should really understand the difference between the three, so that you don't just find yourself, because employers nowadays are very tactful and we don't have time
Sorry.
to. Yes, I
Oh,
can
it's
go
okay.
ahead.
Go on. Okay,
Okay,
go on.
thank you. So employers don't have time to just go through all the CVs. We are very particular in what we have actually said we want is what we want to see. So don't just conclude to yourself that this is what I want them to see. So even if you're doing your cover letters, you really need to have gone through the advertisement very keenly, understand what they're looking for. In your cover letter, if it is the main thing where they've said attach your cover letter or write an email, where your cover letter is actually the email itself, that is very critical, as it's the first thing that actually saves the rest of the candidates. So in your cover letter, one of the things that we look for are your achievements. So this actually goes onto your CV, that those are the things that we want to see. What have been your achievements, especially the people who've not even had an experience at work? Those are the things we want to see. What projects have you done? What research papers have you done? What was your role? Those are the things we want to see in your cover letter. So you need to understand between the three different statements that I've just said is attach your cover letter or write an email using your cover letter and attach your supporting documents. Those are very key. Then there was a question in regards to salary negotiations in terms of an employer asking you to state your salary. That's also a very tricky job advertisement. Some of us really want to know if you fall into the salary gap that we've already budgeted for. So if we've asked you to state it, kindly state. It is very important to be honest. And then from there are even employers who go ahead and say, attach your pay slip. So there are employers who are very particular, and there are those who will not ask for the salary range, but will ask later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Diana. That was very well. Now, okay, we have. Let me just read some questions that have been asked at the chat section. We have a minute. We have. Let me first of all read some comments and then we continue. Okay. We have Marion. Great presentation here. We have Christine. Kindly share notes, please. I think that was directed to Crystal. Uh, we have Maureen. Please share notes. We have okay. I've seen so many are asking if it's possible if you can share the slide with them. Maybe Crystal, you can. Is it possible if you can share the slide?
Yeah, I will. I know many of you guys registered through Zoom. So Katila will send you guys the slides, and I can change it to PDF also. So we can have just the slides and the PDFs also of the same
Okay.
presentation.
Oh, thank you. We have Galaxy M31. Awesome presentation. Oh, guys, please stay tuned unless requested to unmute. Okay. We have
Yes,
Nyambura, your present. Okay. Just yes.
yes.
Okay. Can I continue? Okay. We have who else? Who else? Okay. So many people are actually happy for Crystal's presentation, and oh, thank you for your presentation and all that. We have we have Galaxy M31. A cover letter is a summary of yourself. Make it impactful. We have done very insightful. I like the idea of creativity bit. We just need to remain relevant in being creative because it is still normal and professional. Many thanks. We have okay now. There's a question from Facebook by Nerea Kandi. How do you determine how many skills to pick and elaborate on, given that a cover letter should be precise, stroke not too lengthy? So maybe Crystal, um you can maybe answer in a little bit because we are running out of time, and then we continue.
Okay, let me answer this real quick so we can move on. Since we don't want your cover letter to be overwhelming and too long, I suggest 2 hard skills and a soft skill. That's just a suggestion of mine, but like as I said, you give the skill with the backup of, let's say, how you came through in that regard, and then maybe 1 soft skill to at least soften out the hard skills. Though I feel like the hard skills they're more important because that's what's on the poster, that's what they're looking for. It's best to start with that. So 2 or 3 should be enough for you to not be also saying too much that will be found in the CV. So yeah.
Okay, so we have just a minute. We have okay. Someone else was asking. Could you kindly talk more about the cold approach where there is no advert, neither have you been referred? It sounds quite. Oh, okay. That was not a question. Oh, okay. Thank you. I think we can now shift to CV writing, and I don't know if Douglas is ready for the presentation. Douglas.
Yes, I'm ready for the presentation.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Christo, for that wonderful session. It was indeed so insightful. And now I welcome you to the resume bit so that we have a complete, understanding. So let me share my screen. Okay. So is my screen up?
Yes.
You realize I'm using the PDF. I saved my presentation in PDF because I want to, navigate myself in the tabs. Okay, so you welcome everyone. I want to take you through resumes that impact. So we want to brand you for success. So when you realize that for you to be invited to an interview, you have to make the right impression. You must be the right guy for the job. But then how do you present yourself as the right person for that job? You will have to use career tools that best align you as the best fit. So you will have to have a resume that will impact. So I agree with Crystal that actually the first impression should be a lasting impression. You make an impression like this, let it be a lasting impression. So today I want to take a rather unconventional approach to this subject. And I have 4 questions here, and they are the big questions. These questions are now, today I'm going to answer why you are losing income with your current CV or resume, or actually with a failure to have one. Then number 2, we're going to look at what you must do to break that circle. And then number 3, why you never go past the 8 years. So understand that in this current world, recruiters have turned to using, AI, artificial intelligence, to sieve through thousands and thousands of applications that they keep receiving every day when they send out job postings. So they use the applicant tracking softwares and systems to just get the correct fit even before someone looks at it with a physical eye. So then the 4th one is why you never hear from the hiring managers. I'm definitely sure that these are questions that we've always wanted to get answers around. Okay, so I'll begin with the first question. Now, why you are losing income with your current resume or CV, or on the, the worst end, a lack of one. So number 1, you depress and not impress the gatekeepers. Remember, we've talked about your resume being the first point of touch with your potential employer. Number 2, we're saying you never make to the shortlist. So eventually, because you depress and not impress the gatekeepers, you of course will never make it to the shortlist. Subsequently, you'll never get to the interview, and then you'll never get hired. And then the worst bit is if you're not enlightened, and I thank really the organizers of this call, because you realize that this is a session now where we want to stop repeating the same cycle of losing income. Yeah, losing opportunities. That is it. I want to monetize the job search. Look at it from the point of view as a source of income. So it's income that you lose when you don't do it right. So what you must do to break this circle: professional branding or assistance, and then you have to customize the search and your tools. And the tools here we're talking about is the cover letter and the resume. We've already talked about the cover letter. I'll take you shortly through the tools. Then we have ownership, then the passion and the interest of this process. You have to own the process of resume writing for it to be authentic, for it to have that personalized touch that Crystal was talking about with the resumes. You need to own it. You need to have a passion, because I know sometimes it's not interesting to develop tools that are good. It takes time. It takes a lot of your time. You have to sit down. You have to keep, tweaking here and there the resume and cover letters so that they are tailored towards specific jobs that you want to apply to. So without passion and interest and ownership that this is me, this is about my income, you might realize that it will not be that easy for you to do it. Now, let me sink in now. Now, the real questions: why you never go past the 8 years? So before even the human eye is looking at your resume, these are the problems. Now, structure and format. There are 3 main formats in resume writing. So the first format is usually the reverse chronological order formatting. Then we have number 2, we have what we call a hybrid kind of a format. Then the third one is usually a functional one. So functional, when you're talking about a functional resume, it's where you highlight your skills more than actually the work experience. So you want to highlight your skills rather than your progression in terms of your career, in terms of jobs and roles you've held before. Then we have the reverse chronological order. Actually, this one is the one that we prefer. It ranks from the very immediate ones, the current experiences going down, even the education that way. Then we have the one we call hybrid. Hybrid, you pay attention to both skills as well as your job experiences. So you will realize that nowadays, actually, the system is more in terms of the hybrid other than, so let me, if I can show you. So this one here, this is a hybrid. Are you able to follow?
Yes.
Yeah, so you see we have both the skills section here, if I can, so we still have the skill section here, but we have the jobs and the roles following it up. So this one is hybrid. You are highlighting both your skills as well as your professional experience. The same. So this is what we are talking about. We nowadays encourage a hybrid one because it actually works for both entry levels as well as mid levels, as well as people who've advanced and progressed more in their careers. So structure and format. Let me talk about structure and format. So there are three mistakes that people mostly make when it comes to formatting their resumes. So let's start with the basics. The font. The font. So your font will actually determine sometimes how long your resume will be, and it will also go ahead to describe and inform on how legible your work will be. You want to send resumes out that will actually be read. And one way to do that, the basics is ensure that the font you have used is able to is one that can be read by this recruiter, by this person handling your application. So we always say that use conventional fonts. And these fonts that I usually advise, even the ones I use for clients that come to me, I use Calibri. We have the one called Kandara, Georgia, and Cobel. So these ones are very good. You'll get the notes, don't worry. So you have to use them. And remember that the smallest, mostly for all fonts, the smallest size is usually around 10. So you don't to go at least between 10 and above. So 10.5 will do. So always ensure that you have fonts above 10.5 or 10.5 so that you have work that is able to be read. Then we're talking about the use of photos on your resume, because we are talking about format. So you'll allow me mention it. The use of photos on your resume. Please never use photos on your resume. Don't. I know we have fancy formats and templates that have come, but please never use photos in your resume because they might not augur so well with the ATS. That is one. And then it is not necessary in this age when we have where we have LinkedIn, for instance. It's a very important professional site. You will not have to have your photo on the resume. Instead, use the URL for your LinkedIn. Yeah, because once nowadays every recruiter, before they hire or shortlist, they make a decision to shortlist or not, they will at least even do some background check on you. They will go online, check up your LinkedIn to see whether it augurs well with what you have on your resume. Are there discrepancies? So it is automatic that once you've included your URL, they'll click on it and maybe they'll fortunately see your photo also there. So you don't have to include it on your resume. It will just eat up space for you. And you see, you want to keep your resume as short as possible. So everything that is unnecessary, please just get it out of your resume if possible. And one of those things is your photo. You don't need it there. So let's talk about the length of your resume. So your length should be kept to a maximum of 2 pages. And that is for a professional who's a mid-level and above. So for mostly we recommend that for young professionals or graduate, and I'm sure that most of the individuals we have maybe on this call are recent graduates or still in school. So please, we are advising you to just have 1 page, just have a 1-pager because I believe you actually don't have a lot to explain in terms of experience. So this is actually a recent grad's best outline. You see, in this place, I recommend that as a recent graduate, using a strong summary statement. So you must have a summary statement. So it will help you to communicate the career track you're pursuing and the competences from your education or personal projects, and maybe how you will contribute to this new role. But ensure at the very top, always you have your name, the role that you apply. Always advise that you have the role that you are targeting. So for instance, if you're applying to be a finance officer, you've been in internships for finance, now you want to be a finance officer, you can now have your title as well as your very good communication. This is the LinkedIn URL I was talking about, your email address, your location, and the contact details, so that the recruiting managers can easily find you. So for entry levels, you always put a precedent of education. You start with education because anyway, you don't have work experience per se. So highlight your education in details. For professionals who are just starting, we usually recommend that please you can dig in a bit in your education section, show them the things, for instance, the modules that you covered that relate to that role that you're applying to. Like here, if you're a finance officer, and you did economics, you probably have some operations research to it, some capital budgeting, some accounting, applied statistics. So you want to highlight the modules because they definitely tell the recruiting manager that this person has a clue about what happens in finance, for instance. So then have your awards. Awards go ahead to describe that this is a reliable person, that this is a person who's achievement oriented, they've done it before, and achievement and the capacity to achieve is a transferable skill. So like it means this person is responsible, this person we can count on, they've done it before, they can do it again. So it's important to always show some awards. Awards can range from, maybe you made it to the dean's list, then again, go ahead to mention your memberships. And if at all you are a leader in the capacity or as a member in that particular membership or whatever, these ones, the clubs, the fraternities, it goes ahead to add value to you as just an entry-level professional. Yeah, when you're talking about your working experience, are we together?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yes.
So there's some mic that is not mute. I'm having a challenge. But now when we go to the work, to the experience part of an entry levels, resume, you'd want to first highlight divide it into two sections. The one that really matches the job, perhaps an internship, you are applying to have, a consideration in a finance role. You have had an internship before, maybe in a bank, in their finance department, or whichever organization in their finance department. Definitely that is automatically one-on-one related to what you want to apply for. As an entry level, prioritize the jobs that are industry specific in your focus and what you're applying to. So prioritize them, and we always say ensure that you are consistent with the formatting. So if you're using dates in terms of month, year, please let it be all through your resume. Then after that, perhaps you are an intern in this bank, then in this one. Then you have now non-related, you call it additional work experience. Maybe you volunteered with an organization that way. So you ensure that if you have experience that is completely unrelated to your field, maybe postgrad or something, just this is where you list it. This is where you list it down here, and ensure as much as possible, keep it just short to one page, being new entry level. So for entry levels, the rule is always keep it as white as possible. Want to see more white on a resume, you can tell that this is white, yeah? This is white. So ensure you have more white because you don't have more content. Just keep it one page if possible. Then let me go ahead to say that for two pages, professionals who are mid-levels, 3 to up to 10 years of experience, this can work. You have your summary section here, and in the summary section, we usually say let it just be 3 to 5 sentences. Don't have it too long, 6 sentences, 5, 10. No, and ensure that actually you don't have superfluous wording in there. For instance, I was saying here, describe who you are, mention your title based on maybe your experience, the roles you've had before. For instance, I'm a resume writer, so I'll say I'm an executive resume writer with extensive experience in branding professionals for success across functional industries, served over 1,000 clients. Yeah, so mention with impact. So ensure that your summary section actually sells you so well, because this is what they see first. We usually say that the top a third of your resume, and this is that section, this part is what the recruiting managers will skim through first. They only have probably 20 seconds to scan through your resume. So you want to impress them. You want to put all the necessary information. You want to put the information that goes hand in hand with the job description in this top a third part. So you have to have your title there. And this title is usually what the job description wants. So you're applying for maybe finance manager, let it be there. because of the ATS also. I'll go to the ATS, don't worry. So this here, have the title, have your contact information in the top third part. Don't put it down somewhere there. Have the signature skills, and I'll tell you why. The signature skills here, usually tailor them to what the job description wants, and ensure that you actually have them, because you'll have to justify those skills in the responsibilities and the achievement descriptions below. So don't cheat. But sometimes you can just include 2, not more than 2 or 3 for the sake of ATS. But ensure that you have everything that you mention as a signature skill. You actually have that skill. It's important, because you don't want to also be mentioned as a cheat, and I'll explain to you why. Wrong contact information. So you always want to go through your contact information to ensure that it is, number one, it's not a wrong phone number, because what if you've been shortlisted and they want to call you? If you're not available, they'll call someone else who's available. Then the emails also cross-check, double-check the way you are told, as we were covering by Crystal, the cover letters, it also applies here. Correct contact information. You don't want to lose an opportunity just because you did not check well your resume, spellings, and all that on the emails you provided. Then text boxes, tables, and the wrong use of columns. So the rule number 1, never have text boxes on your resume. And if at all you have text boxes on your resume, ensure that you don't have important information in it, because ATSs will never read text boxes. So they'll never pick them up. So don't have any important information in text boxes when you're formatting your resumes. Tables are not important. They will not make it through the ATS. So stay away from tables as much as possible. Even in this area, this is not a table. This is not a table. Don't confuse. It was not a table. There's a way we do it. Maybe in our next training, we can be able to look at it. But this is not a table. So don't use tables. They will make your very important information be left out, and therefore rank low on ATS and be thrown into the digital bin, and that is your end. Okay, inconsistencies. So how you label and order your sections. I've already mentioned that. I said that you see professional section, let it be consistent. Professional section, let them be consistent. Don't use and here. Don't use this and here, then use another and somewhere else. Don't use this font here size, this font size, then somewhere else in another section you're using another font size. Just be consistent in what you're doing. Then we have fonts and font size. I talked about that. Length I've mentioned. So how do you get, because I know you now ask me a question and you'll say, how do you ensure you have a resume that is either a 1-pager or a 2-pager, and you don't have, because sometimes I get entry-level professionals who have 5 pages long of a resume. You wonder what information is being mentioned there. So you have to do these things. These are the little tricks I maybe can share with you to help you with reduction in terms of the length. Number 1, you don't have to include all the professional experience you've had since college. You see, so if you're a mid-level professional and you started as maybe an intern, you went to become an assistant, your volunteer experience, and now you've grown to a manager. Surely some of the previous experiences, you can cut them off. Usually we recommend that if you can go only up to 15 years of experience, if you have more, it is better. And if you maybe see that that is too long, just go up to 5 jobs. But for me, I even recommend just do 7 years of experience on a resume. That is enough. 7 years. Don't go beyond that, because the most recent experience actually is what matters. Maybe probably your last 2 experiences, they matter most. So you can ignore everything else, leave it out. Just go up to 7 years. 3 to 7 years, that is maximum. That is fine. That is wonderful. It will make it short and concise. And actually, the longer your resumes are, the likely you are to make errors and mistakes, in typos, grammatical mistakes, and all these things put off and turn off the recruiters. Yeah. So number 2, you can avoid what do I say? Okay, let me go to content. Let me go to content. Yeah, and the content is here. So the content is actually why you never hear from the hiring managers. It is the content. Lack of interest. How does a resume imply a lack of interest? This is how. Number one, every resume that you need to present to a job for application, it has to be tailored. It has to be specific to that job. Crystal went ahead of me and said that there is nothing as a generic one size fits all thing. Actually, when you're dealing with career tools, you have to tweak aspects of the resume to ensure that they actually speak to the current need of the employer. Mostly this is where we do it, this section. Ensure that now the skills that you highlight, you probably have thousands of skills, but when you're now applying to this specific job, what does the job description say? What are the key skills required here? So you tweak a bit here. You highlight now what is required. You highlight here, and also the way you describe yourself in this section, ensure it augurs well, it matches with what is required in the, not word to word, but highlight the skills you have, the previous achievements you've done that are in line with the job description in hand. Okay, so a lack of interest, I've said, if you do not tailor, if you keep using one resume, it means you don't actually have interest. Don't be obvious, distinct, make yourself a distinct brand. This is how you become obvious. If you keep using the wrong words, so your word choice is wrong, you do use weak action verbs to explain your achievements. For instance, words like helped in the development of project A and B, assisted, those are very weak words. Actually, they are very bad words to use and to have in your resume. You probably want to say supported, facilitated. So the right action verbs will help you, set a distinction. Then number two, we always say never use the passive voice in your resume. Let me state an example of a passive voice, achievement. If you say that 35% of revenue growth was realized in our team over 3 years, you see you are reporting. So that one is a passive voice. But the right way would have been you led a team of 5 to achieve a 35% growth over 3 years. Why do we say you should not use a passive voice? Passive voice, number one, it's boring. It is lengthy because you have prepositions to use. So it's a string of prepositions, boring, a lot of words. And remember, we are saying you have to keep your words short, because the shorter the words, meaning the shorter the length of your resume, which is good. Actually, it's so nice when you have a shorter resume. So in the statement that I've just read about that achievement, number one, it is achievement oriented because it quantifies your achievement. We've always said that in resume writing, the challenge that people find is that of describing what they did in terms of impact and not function. Hiring managers are not interested in knowing what you did. They already know. Actually, that is why they send out the job descriptions. They're in that field. They know what they're expecting from you. But the only difference that will make you stand out is how did you accomplish what you did, by how much, and how. So speak in terms of measurables. Talk about quantities. Talk about reductions in cost, but not just reduction in cost by how much. Go ahead to quantify. You led people. So you don't just say I was responsible. In fact, never use the word responsible for. That one is superfluous and it's never acceptable in resumes. It actually just sends you off as not an achievement-oriented person, but as a job description tester. What else can we name that a person? I don't know even how to call that, but it actually sells you short. So have your achievements bulleted and let each one of them start with an action verb that is different from any other. So don't repeat your action verb. So if you said achieved 20% growth in revenues in 2 weeks, in 2 months, The next one, don't just say again, achieved efficiency in the processes for, no, you can say enhanced efficiency. So have difference in every bullet, have a new action verb. Use a new action verb for every bullet and let the achievements be quantified. So ask yourself, if you led people, how many were they? If you managed a team, what size was it? If you managed to increase maybe sales, by how much? Because of course, if you increase sales, we know we have key performance indicators. This is what was your target. This is what you achieved. So your growth is this, your increase is this. So we have quantifications, we have metrics. So if it is money that you manage, if you're a manager, for instance, or if you're a person who works with accounting, you rectify the processes and manage to cut cost by always quantify. Avoid obvious wordings, obvious skills also. Obvious skills are skills like saying, I have Excel, I can do PowerPoint, I have Access database, unless really the job description wants you to highlight that you have those skills, but we have some obvious skills that actually you should never mention in your resume. By the mere fact that you typed and formatted that resume, it's enough evidence that this person understands how to use Microsoft and the Microsoft Office suite. So there are some things never mentioned in your resumes. They make you too obvious. They make you a repeat of what they have seen again and again and again. So have impact in your resume. Tell. So I meant that why you never hear. So people that tell but not show. So you need to show as well as tell. So you tell as you show. Quantification will make you have impact, so you will show. So another one is flouting application instructions. So to flout is to generally just disregard. Diana was very clear on that. So if there is an instruction set out, maybe they've said indicate on your resume the expected salary. Don't say because we never include on the resumes expected salaries, it's not common practice or conventional practice. Don't say I won't do it. Just go do it because it is customized to that specific role you're applying to. If they want you to highlight your specific skills that actually I have said they are obvious, please go ahead and highlight them, because in this specific matter, in this specific job you're applying to, they count. So always never flout the application instructions. There we go. Let me see what we have left. Okay, I'm just about to finish. So these are my take homes. Remember, yes, you can forget everything else I've said, but please don't forget this, that please make your resume measurable by the use of quantifying figures. Explain so that you can show and not merely tell. Then let your resume be action and result oriented. So it's not a function. Don't copy paste job descriptions and just put there responsible for, I was responsible, and then avoid the use of what do we call them, first person. I did, was, I was, I did, there, our. Avoid the use of the first pronoun, I. So you want to just start all your resume bullets with achievement-oriented, powerful action verbs. Then do not, I've already said, do not lie. This is the final one. Do not lie. Do not lie about job gaps. Do not lie about career changes. Do not lie also about your education. So you will realize that sometimes you have been out of, especially for the mid-level professionals, you might have job gaps because maybe you are doing freelance gigs, you are doing short-term contracts. Go ahead and explain it. The greatest place to explain it actually is in your cover letter, or you might want to infuse in some volunteer experiences that you were doing during that time, so that you don't seem to be a person who does not care. So don't lie about job gaps. Don't use a functional format to hide gaps. Instead, just do a reverse chronological resume. Then you will explain this job gap either using volunteer experience, or you will explain it. Maybe it was for medical. If it were for medical reasons, you might want to explain it also in your cover letter. career changes. Then there are people who change career so much, they are often called job hoppers, but that is not a problem if you can find a way to express and explain why. No problem, no need to lie, no need to hide it. Education, don't say you you got a first class when you did not. So don't say this is the degree I have when you didn't have this specific degree. Don't lie about the schools you attended. In other words, let the lying aspect in your resume be zero rated. So never include any lies in your resume, because at the end of the day, hiring managers really know. They have seen hundreds and thousands and tons of resumes, and they are able to sniff out lies. So because they will eventually do some background on you, the checks, and they will find that actually you are lying, and you will still lose that job, and you might be kicked out of the industry completely, especially for industries that just are small in size. So these are samples here. You will get them. I have shared with you. You're going to get all this. So for the entry level, this one, anyone can use this. Mid-level, then we have this one also. So I said, for you to use columns in you realize this is a column. For you to use a column in your resume, because columns, as we know, they are not ATS friendly, you must have titles on those columns. So they need to have titles. And then at the same time, ensure that you don't use symbols that will not be read by the ATS. So ensure to have symbols that can only be read. So anything that is not friendly, don't include it on your resume. So thank you so much, guys. I don't know whether anyone has a question, because this subject is so wide. I even don't know how to explain to you it all in just a little bit of time. But if you have a question, maybe you want some clarification, you can share it. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Douglas, for such an insightful presentation. Okay. Anyone with a question? Maybe you can just raise your hand, and then I unmute. Okay, we have Julian's. Julian's.
I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead.
Mine is not really a question, but to appreciate what Douglas has taken us through, most particularly about resume writing. My other key area to add is that when it comes to issues of referees, you find that actually I saw a comment being suggested by one of the followers, and I sought to address it. For example, when you're addressing your referees, you'll find, for example, your referee is a senior executive in a given company. Someone may opt to write the title Mr. So-and-so, but they don't even give the email or the respective address. So when it comes even to doing background checks, it actually becomes a problem, and it actually can block the opportunities that this candidate has. So it's very important that when you're providing details of your referees, you provide the title of the person, the salutation, is it a Mr. or Mrs. or Doctor, and or rather the professional affiliation he or she is, because people use professional salutations, you get. And another thing I can just be able to summarize what Douglas has said. When you're creating a CV or a resume, you need to be authentic. That means you need to have originality. Secondly, you need to be creative. And thirdly, you need to be consistent in the flow. He talked about the use of fonts, titling, symbols. That level of consistency also gives you a mark when you're trying to get a job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julian.
Welcome.
Thank you, Julian, for your insight, for your sentiment. Okay, we have Diana. Maybe Diana, you can unmute yourself and give your sentiments.
Douglas, that was a well thought presentation. and I commend you for taking people through it with such a short time. It is a broad topic to just guide people through CV writing. That was a good presentation. I just want to add that we always see people saying, I'm reviewing a CV at 1,000 shillings, at 1,500, at 2,000. And you just like, why should I pay this money? I would say it's important to invest in things that change your life, that speak to your career. If you get that opportunity to have someone go through your CV and change it to how the ATS works, it is very, very important to invest in yourself. So if you get an opportunity, talk to these people who do CV writings and let them help you design your CV to what we are looking for and what will resonate with the ATS, because a layman person will never understand what it means, but it is a system that works in a very interesting way. And Douglas has actually outlined that really pretty well. So Douglas, if you can, I think probably you do the CV reviews, if you can share your contacts for them, maybe probably to reach out. And yeah, probably give 5 people here a free CV review, So yeah, good job.
Thank you so much, Diana. Actually, thank you so much. It's important. Sometimes people wonder, why would I pay to just write a CV? You see, Kitambo, CV writing used to be shoddy desktop work at a cyber cafe where it's written up juu cover, imeandikwa curriculum vitae, date of birth, gender, So we moved from those things, and then you realize that you have to have targeted documents, targeted career tools for you to move to the next level, including your LinkedIn. In fact, if there's anyone here who's not on LinkedIn, please ensure you're on LinkedIn. And once you're on LinkedIn, brand yourself, right? Brand yourself for success. There's a whole lot on LinkedIn. We shall talk about it later, but let me just finish by, I've remembered I didn't mention this. When you're saving your documents, ensure you save them well. Crystal talked about it. Also, it applies for resume. So if you've revised it 6 times and then it is revision 6 resume, don't send it that way. Change it to recommend just your first and last name. That is enough. Then when you're saving it, ensure you save it in a format that will not distort your formatting. If it is a PDF, for instance, we recommend send it out in a PDF, unless it has actually been specified that you should send it in Word. If you have to send it in Word, ensure you're using the latest version of Word. So for my contacts, I'll sure send them. I'll send them. I'll share them in the chat, and feel free. I don't know how to maybe the first 5 people that will contact me directly on my email and the details I will provide will get a free critique for their resume, to just let them understand what is missing, what is not right, how they should improve, in terms of ATS compliance, in terms of is it achievement oriented, and also the coloring. By the way, when you're doing your resumes, ensure that you just stick to conventional and conservative color schemes. Don't be too shouty with your colors on the resumes. So for all that, maybe the first few people, the first 5 that will contact me directly, I'll be able to do a free CV critique for them. So I'll be sending shortly my contact. Thank you so much. I'll also share with the facilitator the templates that I was showing you here, for you to just keep on referring and just let this sink into you. I believe we'll be able to share about much more in the coming days, so that we can be able to be in the right position, to position ourselves best for success. Thank you so much, everyone.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we only have 7 minutes. Okay, anyone with a question? Let me just go through some question at the chat box. Okay, someone was asking a question about the number of referees. Let me just look for that question. Okay. Oh, we have Joy. Okay, we have Joy Kinyo. Joy Kinyo is asking, how about referees most job ask for 2 or 3 referees. We also have Galaxy. Douglas, how can we get in touch with you in case we need our CVs published? We have Gloria. Douglas, please share with us your contacts. We have Mercy. Hello, my question is to the speaker. What is the difference between academic and professional qualifications? We have Galaxy. Didn't know CV writing is a skill in itself. Okay. Uh, we have Nokia. I think academic is educational background plus internship plus, and professional is work experience and etc. Junior position, managerial position, etc. Okay. We have Galaxy. Wish this training was conducted 3 years ago. Now I'm no longer hopefully. I will get a call for an interview on a vacancy I applied for. Okay. I hope you'll get that job. That is Galaxy M31. Okay. Okay. Awesome presentation, Douglas. Very, very insightful. We have Crystal, lovely presentation, learned so much. We have, everyone is so happy for your presentation, Douglas, and like you've just you've just enlightened all of us, and thank you for your insightful presentation, and we are looking forward to even engaging more with you. So anyone with anything? Okay, we have. Okay, Mwende is asking, is it possible to get the presentations? Yes. Okay, they'll be shared. It will be shared with Youth Barrier Breakers Africa, and then I think from there, maybe Katile can share how we can access the slides. Katile.
I think for everyone who registered, we will share the slides via email. The email you received from Area Breakers, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Just before we have a question, and it's directed to Douglas. Someone is asking, my question on referees is using the address of the company they work if you don't have the actual email stroke contracts, especially if it is a senior person. How many referees should fresh graduates have? As for fresh graduates, is there a change in CV for particular jobs? Since as fresh graduates, your skills and achievement are not as much as that of an experienced person. Thank you. Maybe Douglas,
Okay.
maybe if you can share something about it.
So in fact, very important question asked there, the referees. Usually we say, do not include the referees on your resumes. It's common practice that the recruiters know that at some point in the recruitment process, they will require you to have valid references on demand. So number one, if you want to know the right person to include as a referee, at that point when they will ask you to provide references, not on the resume, never write referees on the resume unless specified in the job description or in the job ad. So never add, and also never say references available upon request. No, just completely omit that section. Of course, they know that at some point, if they ask you for references, you need to provide. So for an entry-level professional, and basically every other professional, this is how you know who is the right and best referee for you to include on your resume. Number one, I've heard, so you in that question, you said that if you do not have their contact, their email address, number one, that tells you that actually that one is not a referee, because probably they even don't know you. For references are people that you know and they know you. So there's no way you will not have their contacts, and in fact, never include someone on your referee or reference list if you have not talked to them about it. In fact, there's also a document that you usually let me make it this clear to you, that for every reference that you have on your resume, or probably later on when you're asked for it, you must first give each of the referees, we usually say 3 of them, maybe one that knows you academically, another that knows you from maybe some job, and another one that knows you from maybe a social organization, maybe a club, society membership, that way. So co-curricular one, academic one, then another one is for maybe employment, that is for the entry level position. But if you are just a professional, you can have all of them being professionals. But number one, ensure that that reference, that person you want to list as a referee, they know. There's nothing as bad as when they are contacted and they say, even don't know that person, who is that? So the first part is ensure that you have notified them. In fact, you approach them, you ask them, Mr. So-and-so, Professor so-and-so, Dr. So-and-so, I'm so-and-so. You remind them how you met, you network. Actually, that is the essence of networking. You know each other personally. Then you tell them you have interest in how about they become your referees for the purposes of, your resume and all that. They will not refuse. Certainly they will accept. And if they accept, it means they will also give you your contact. They'll also give you their contacts. And then they'll give you their email addresses. So you must first have a personal touch with them. And then something else you must always need to give them is a copy of your resume. If you've applied to a certain position and you've mentioned them as referees, maybe as per requirement by the job ad, or you've advanced, you've reached the level where they are needed, ensure that they have the copy of that resume that you used to apply for that job. It makes it easier for them to give a recommendation. You see, because these recruiters are random people. They can just ask you a question. They can ask that referee a question that, they are not aware of. You mentioned a skill in there that they don't know about, and how embarrassing will it be for you to be denied by the person you mentioned or listed as your reference. So I believe that is insightful, but as it is, the common practice or the conventional practices do not include it.
Okay. So thank you, Douglas, for those sentiments. We have a lot of questions, and I know everyone was eager to know more, and we have so many questions. I don't know if we're able to answer some of them, but I think we're running out of time. I think in the meantime, what we'll just do, maybe Douglas, you can just share, you can just reply some of these questions at the chat box as we continue with the parting shot. So thank you to our esteemed speaker for such an insightful presentation. I know that we have gained a lot of skills, and now we are able to work on our personal and professional development. But before we finish, I would like our speakers to give a parting shot, and we'll start with Crystal. Crystal, maybe if you can give us your parting shot and maybe way forward.
So what I can tell you guys is I don't know, learning is a continuous process. Like, never get comfortable where you are. Always be open-minded to new knowledge, new ideas, regardless of your age. So, like, even if we've done this all and we've taught you all these new things, don't hesitate to go and do more research, and just be willing to do what it takes to be able to pursue your passions. I know it gets hard sometimes, but remember that whether it's your job that is going to get you to your passion, or your passion is your job, just get it done and believe in yourself, package yourself well, and you'll go a long way. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Crystal, for your parting shot. Maybe to Douglas, maybe if you can give us your parting shot.
So my parting shot is, remember that you have only the first impression to make the last impression. So you have to get it right. Ensure that you cross-check your work, your credentials before sending them out, just to eliminate errors. Because maybe in there you're saying you're a detail-oriented person, but you see, it has to be seen and not just be said. So ensure that you be very careful with how you handle your resume, your cover letters, and at the same time, always research a little when you want to do some application to a job. Don't just go and throw in your resume because you want maybe to just be done with it, or you want to, be the first one. Ensure you do some research. Don't be first to send in your resume. How will you customize? How will you tailor the application if you do not research? So research more, and most importantly, there are jobs that you think you are not well qualified for because of education specification or the number of experience. Sometimes just go ahead and apply, because a job ad sometimes is just a wish list by employers. It's just a wish list. Probably there's no one who matches 100% that. So actually, there's never been a person who's met 100% of the requirements. So don't feel dismayed. Don't look down. Don't downplay your skills and what you have. Use it, maximize on it. Sometimes just apply, especially if you see that a job is asking for people with 3+ years of experience and you're an entry level. To tell you the truth, you actually qualify. I remember I came just out of university like this. I had not even graduated, but I got some job in a bank because I just applied. I said they're asking for 3 years, but anyway, I don't care, because when I look at these things, the task they're saying, these are things I can do. And actually in the interview, I explained that to them. I told them, these are things I can do. It does not matter how long I have been or not been employed. So thank you so much. I thank you, Stephen, and I also thank the facilitator, Mutuko, for allowing us to, converse with all of us on this call. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Douglas, for your parting shot and for your insightful presentation. So, okay, and to our participant, okay, thank you for turning up. Actually, we were around 71 participants, and thank you. And I do hope that we've been able to learn a lot, and that now that we have the skills, then we are now able to to add more skills on CV writing and cover letter. And for those following on Facebook, we also don't take this for granted. Thank you for following up, and I also hope that you too have also learned, and I hope that everyone has been able to grasp something that will be able to help us to work on his or her professional development. Uh, Tomorrow we also have another session still under career guidance. Tomorrow we'll be discussing on two topics actually. We have interview skills and personal branding. I think it will still be from 6 to 8, and I'm looking forward into having actually all of you into that session. It will also be a nice one, and I'm also looking forward into learning and engaging and also gaining skills from tomorrow's session. So still, for those who have not been able to apply for the to just to apply for the meeting, I think an email has been shared. Let me just read for you. A smile for the youth.africa@gmail.com. So for those who have not been able to register for the sessions, okay, just email a smile for the youth.africa@gmail.com. Let me reshare it again. Okay, thank you. And Have a good night. Thank you. See you in tomorrow's session. Thank you.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's meet tomorrow.